India AI Summit isn't just about models, it is also about infrastructure that will power the next generation of intelligent applications. And to talk about that, we have right now Matthew Prince, CEO of Cloudflare, to shed some light on these conversations. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us in the CNBC AI Edge Studio. The first thing that I want to start with asking you is that Cloudflare sits between a huge chunk of AI traffic and the internet. Right? So how is that positioning changing as AI moves from pilot to real-world deployments?
Yeah, so 80% of the leading AI companies use Cloudflare's network in order to be fast, secure, reliable, and increasingly in order to actually power inference all around the world. So if you want to make sure that when someone is asking your AI a question, that it's fast and responsive in Delhi, in Rio, in Tokyo, in New York City, Cloudflare is the network that can allow you to do that. And so I'm incredibly proud of the fact that so many AI companies are relying on us to build the future of AI, and so much of the internet is relying on us, and being in the middle of that is just incredibly exciting.
All right, great to hear that. I also want to understand from you that you've talked about AI redefining the internet's business model and the rise of answer engines, right? So how do you see that affecting content creators and publishers in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think no matter what, the internet's business model is about to change radically. And it's, in order to understand it, you have to understand what the business model has been. For most of the history of the internet, the business model was create original traffic, or create original content, drive traffic, and then sell either things, subscriptions, or ads. And the great benefactor of the internet has been Google. And Google had a search engine, and you would type something in the search engine like, I want to figure out what the best restaurant tonight in Delhi is to get chicken tikka masala or something like that. And it would return back a list of 10 blue links. And the search wasn't over at that point. That was a treasure map. And then you as a user had to search through that to figure out what the answer was. And different sites would emerge to actually say, listen, we have the best list of restaurants in Delhi, so click on this and we'll give you reviews and information. We'll sell ads along with that, maybe help you make reservations. And that was the business model of the internet. What's happened though is that increasingly with these new AI systems, they're not search engines, they're answer engines. You ask them a question, and rather than giving you 10 blue links you have to go search through, it says, hey, the best restaurant in Delhi is X, and gives you the answer right there. That's amazing as a user, but it's putting some real strain on content creators. Ads, if the answer engines don't click on ads, they don't buy subscriptions, and the answer is right there without you having to go anywhere. And so what is the business model going to be if traffic isn't the currency of the future internet?
What is it going to be? Could you shed some light on that then?
Well, I think no matter what, we've got to find some way for hardworking journalists like yourself to still be able to eat. You should get paid for the hard work that you're doing. And so if people are going to get answers directly from the AI companies, and if the AI companies are going to be pulling all of that data from original content creators, journalists, researchers, academics, then there has to be some sort of value exchange.
Correct, true.
In the past, that value exchange with Google was they would take your content and they would send you back traffic. I think going forward, you're going to see increasingly that AI companies are going to take your content and they're going to send you back actually compensation for helping give them the information that trains the models. And that's what we're working through, and that's what we're talking to both the AI companies and the content creators about. What does that future business model look like?
Interestingly, when we talk about data, the first thing that also comes to our mind is security concerns on that front. So I want to understand that how are you reimagining AI safety tools at Cloudflare, such as AI Gateway and prompt protection, to address risks like data leakage, shadow AI, and model abuse?
Yeah, I think that what any company that's using AI needs to think about are what are their policies and how are they going to be enforced? And we provide the tools to allow a company to do that. So let's say CNBC has a policy that says, you can only use this set of approved models that we have agreements with.
Correct.
Let's say that they want to make sure that there are certain things that you can't ask the AI to do. You can't ask the AI to be, hyper offensive or act like a jerk or do those various things. What Cloudflare does is it provides ways of companies locking down access to AI so that it gets routed to both the models that are allowed, that it can be controlled in terms of what information is passed into those models that gives some constraints so that even if a malicious employee says, "Oh, go act like a jerk," that the model can also be told, if someone tells you to act like a jerk, ignore that, right? Or if someone tells you to violate CNBC's policies, ignore that.
Yeah.
And then it can also route those requests based on what budgets are. So maybe there are very important requests that have to get done with the most expensive model, that can get sent in that direction. But something that is just kind of frivolous and fun, hey, I need to create a fun card because one of our colleagues is celebrating their 5th work anniversary.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't have to go to the most expensive model in order to create something like that. And what Cloudflare is doing is we're giving companies the tools to be able to actually route and then control how AI is used and make sure that you as a company are never embarrassed by whatever the use cases are that your employees are using it for.
On the point of introducing new tools, you've also introduced features that combat unauthorized AI scrapping and even paper crawl mechanisms.
Yeah.
So does that signal a shift towards more regulated AI data access?
I think it gets back to what's that future business model going to be. If the business model of content creation online isn't going to be ads, it's not going to be subscriptions, it's going to be something else, then we have to actually create a market for that. And markets need two things. One is they need demand, and the good news is there's insatiable demand. The AI companies want as much data as possible. They want to be able to learn as much as possible. They're constantly looking for new information that's out there, and they're willing to pay for it. But you also need, traditionally we think of you need demand and you need supply, but that's not exactly right. Like we're sitting here, there's no market for air because there's infinite supply of air. Unfortunately online, there's been infinite supply of content for the AI companies. And so the first step to creating it is actually get scarcity. If I go scuba diving, all of a sudden there's a market for air because there's no air underwater and I can create it. If all of a sudden all of the different content creators, whether it's a journalist like yourself or someone who's just doing original art or somebody who's creating a movie, if they say AI can't get my stuff unless they compensate me for it, now you've got scarcity. And if you've got scarce supply combined with demand, that's the formula for creating a market. And so what we're trying to do is figure out what that next business model of the internet is going to be. And we don't know exactly what it will end up with, but we do know it needs two components. It needs demand, which we've got, and then what we're helping do is create scarce supply. And between those things, what we're seeing from content creators is more and more as they do that the AI companies are willing to come to them and say, what you're doing is really unique. We want it to be in our model and we're willing to pay for it.
Okay. Now, as India is pushing towards sovereign AI infrastructure and, production grade deployment, help me understand what is the role that Cloudflare can play in enabling that and scaling that infrastructure?
Cloudflare's in a really unique position to help any country that is looking for sovereign AI. And that's because we run infrastructure not only in almost every country on Earth, but in almost every major city on Earth. And so across India, we're in 20 different data centers where we can run all of our information and keep data local. That means not only when data is stored, but actually when it's processed, when inference happens. And what that allows is not only for the security and the sovereignty of the nation to be there, but also to make sure that Indian models respond as if they are India, respecting the local culture, the local heritage, the local tradition. And so we've worked...
And the local dialect.
Absolutely. Right? And so we've worked with AI for Bharat to be able to, which is a model that was created for all of the different languages and dialects that are spoken across India, and we've rolled that across our infrastructure so that you can actually have a Indian AI model running in India, servicing Indian customers. And we think that that's incredibly important. A lot of AI is going to happen on your device, but we think the next best place for it to happen is inside a network like Cloudflare, running as close to you as possible, usually in your same city, but for sure in your same country.